Hello, my name is Jamie Crow, and my presentation is going to be over Frida Kahlo, the self portrait of a monkey. How an extremely unfortunate accident gave birth to an amazingly gifted and troubled artist. You have to excuse me, I'm a little sick also. Frida Kahlo was someone who was outspoken and sometimes cross dressing, great artist who, despite all of the setbacks that she had physically because of various health issues throughout her life, became an amazing artist. She took her pain and put it on canvas, pretty much. There are several things that I'll go through that showcase why possibly her art looks the way it does. She was involved in an accident that created numerous injuries, which allowed her to, well, didn't allow her to have kids. She became a political activist. The possibly the struggles that she had physically because of the accident and the surgeries thereafter, more than likely, excuse me, contributed to the extramarital affairs that her and her husband had. And she, I believe these two portraits that I will speak of, like I said, the portrait with a monkey, and then I'll also compare it to the parrot, self-portrait with parrots, or me and my parrots is what I saw it called on one website. I'll compare those to both show that I believe that she wanted to have kids and couldn't, and so that kind of translated into the paintings. I'm just going to click on the next slide here. Miss Cahill was born on July 6th, 1907 in Coyoacan, Mexico City to Guillermo Kahlo and Matilda Gonzalez. Her father, Guillermo, was a photographer, and he photographed the Mexican Revolution, which was from 1910 to 1920. This could have been the reason why she became so politically active, but, we'll never know. Next slide. Okay. She was diagnosed with polio at age 6. This left her confined to her bed. Her parents put a mirror above her bed so she could have something to do. Basically, she took it from there to draw herself or paint herself. She later took some formal lessons. But that would not be the last time that she would be confined to her bed. Next slide. She was involved in a motor vehicle accident at age 18 when she was coming home from school on a school bus. This caused multiple injuries to include fracturing her pelvis, which would make her not able to have kids. Again, she went back to the bed and had multiple surgeries. Inevitably, she would get out of bed and go back to school. Next slide. This one is about her husband, Diego Rivera. Diego was a muralist, and he was recruited by the Mexican Secretary of Education, Jose Vasconcelos, to paint murals in many different places, which one of them was the school that she was attending at the time. He was considerably older than her, but they would later marry in 1929. And Rivera would also go on to become the secretary of the the Communist Party. Next slide. Rivera was taken out of the Communist Party, but Frida became a political activist in 1920s. They both came to America in 1930, stayed for 3 years, but moved back to Mexico because Frida found out that he was sleeping with her sister. Next slide. Of course, this made the relationship difficult. So she goes to Paris and starts working in surrealism. Then she goes back to New York and then back to Mexico, leaves Rivera again, only to later get back together. Next slide. She was cheating on him also, but through it all, they both cared for each other, as evident as this piece of work that I have up in the top right-hand corner, if you're looking at it. It is a painting of her with him on her forehead, which is where your brain would be, which to me signals that he's on her mind. So they both needed each other, even though their relationship was difficult, to say the least. Next slide. This is Self-Portrait with Monkey, the work of art that I chose to research and make the main idea of this. It's oil on masonite, and then we'll move on to the next one. And it was done in 1938. Actually, I'll go back so you can actually see this. In the painting, she is wearing a blouse that, along with the necklace she has on, signifies that she's very proud of her Mexican heritage. It's filled with lush green leaves. She had a garden at her house. Probably really loved the garden, very peaceful, which is why I think that vegetation is in the background of the painting. I feel the painting hints to the fact that she always wanted to have kids. I say that because the monkey, as you can see, has its arm draped lovingly around her neck. I think because she couldn't have kids, the animals gave her the kind of love that she missed because of not being able to have kids. But again, she couldn't have them because of the fact that she crushed her pelvis in that motor vehicle accident. The next one that I'm going to compare that to is, wait a minute, that's just what I was talking about, to include the subject matter. Now, this next one is me and my parrots. She has a lot of parrots in this self-portrait. Excuse me. One of actually the article that I got this from stated that it's a very erotic painting and was done at the time of her father's death. Frankly, I don't see how they got erotic out of that, since the painting was done at the time her father died. But She was seeing someone else at the time, while still married to Rivera. But again, I still think that this just shows that she really wants to have kids. And again, this painting has her in clothing that shows that she's proud of her Mexican heritage. It's oil on canvas, and it was done in 1941. Next slide. And that's things that I already talked about, the subject matter and the background. And the next slide is about the end of her life. She had multiple surgeries that eventually ended up putting her in a corset because of all the pain and surgery she had gone through, which caused more depression. And she also lost her right foot because when she was 6, she had polio. So even before the accident, she had a horrible time. But she ended up later in life losing her right foot. About a year before she died, she attended her first, only, and final solo exhibition, which amazes me because as influential as she was and how many paintings she had, and she was a social butterfly, even met Picasso. But that was the only time she ever had an exhibition. So that kind of surprised me. Last slide. Well, I'm sorry. She dies on July 13th, 1954. So last slide. In conclusion, her work was almost between what I would say advanced, novice. I mean, they didn't look as lifelike as other paintings done by people. Just take Rembrandt, for instance. His paintings were very lifelike. Hers were on the line of almost childlike, but they have such a deep meaning. There's so many things that are in her paintings that speak about how she felt about what she was going through. From the pain that she suffered because of her extensive injuries from the wreck, and just how strained her relationship was with Diego. They stayed together through all of it, never stopping their relationship, even though they both cheated on each other. I think she was searching for something to fill the void by seeing other people. There was something missing. Perhaps it was the kids. The fact that she couldn't have kids depressed her. The multiple surgeries depressed her. But these are what drove a lot of her paintings, were things that she was going through. Still not to say that what she did is not important, because it's something I couldn't do. I mean, painting and drawing takes a lot of, is something that people who are extremely talented can do. She was extremely talented, especially to be able to look at yourself up on a mirror on the ceiling and paint yourself. So that is pretty much the end of my presentation. Thank you.